Good morning.
Morning.
Uh, I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us. My name is Sister Jenna Fleming, and I am delighted to be here today with one of our Dominican young adults. Sal?
Yes, Salvatore Ubaldini. Thanks for having me, sister.
In this time of sheltering in place, during this global pandemic, we thought we would take a few minutes to share our personal experiences. But before we do that, I would like each one of us to tell you a little bit about ourselves. So I'm going to ask Sal to go first.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, for those of you who may have not seen me at the Mother Regina House, I've been a part of DYA since being at Molloy College in 2012 under the leadership of Andy Aberton. Many of you have had the privilege of meeting him and getting to work with him. And outside of college, I've been volunteering for many years now, doing random volunteership activities, both in the U.S. and outside of the U.S. With Sister Jenna and many other sisters in the congregation.
Thanks, Sal. You might also, maybe you can mention what you do for a living.
Sure. May not be as exciting for you guys, but for me, it certainly is. Actually, over the last few weeks, I started a new career path into forensic accounting. So I'm very excited to do that. I work with K2 Intelligence. I've been working in the audit space for about 6 years now, but recently I moved to forensic accounting. So definitely much more interesting.
Great. Thanks so much for that. So to introduce myself, my name is Jenna Fleming. I'm a Dominican from Amityville, obviously. And I have the privilege of working as the executive director of the Dominican Youth Movement. So the Dominican Youth Movement is an organization that really is comprised of 5 other programs. It's a national organization, and so I have the privilege of working with young people from high school age all the way through young adults. And so I do find it quite a privilege right now being able to speak to Sal, one of our young adults, and certainly part of our Dominican family, and be able to ask and talk to him and share what our feelings have been with regard to this particular crisis that we're in. So Sal, what has this time been like for you?
It's been rough. I'll be honest. It's something that no one really expected or wanted, really. Just to give some people some background about me, I'm expected to be married in September, which is a blessing, many blessings. Carly and myself in September, but that obviously is it's not on hold, but there's things moving around with that aspect as well, but also life. So we have loved ones and friends and family that we just can't see or be with in ways that we'd like to be. We can't share a picnic together or have that soccer game on the weekend or even catch up and go to a movie. So it's changed a lot, to be honest. My grandfather lives down the block. I can't do my routine hellos. Well, we do, but I'm outside in the front yard and he's inside the house just to play it safe. But yeah, very different. Obviously, no one expected it, but in some ways, I think it's helping us to understand that we are connected to all these people in our lives, and that it's much more than just maybe getting a chance to eat with them once a week or every other day, depending if you're at home with siblings and family or whatnot. So it's also opened up our minds to know that we are connected in many more ways than we would have thought.
Thanks, Sal. I think for me, it has been certainly a trying time in terms of not being able to go out and things of that sort. But those are just small little inconveniences in comparison to what I see in our neighborhood. I live with 4 other sisters in Huntington Station, and the impact that this has had on our very vulnerable population here. It's a very poor parish, and it's just been eye-opening for me. So my little inconvenience, I kind of try to take in stride. When you see how this has affected others. Also in my work, I'm able to be in touch with other Dominican young adult groups because these groups are national. And so I'm in touch with people in California and in Michigan and upstate New York. And it's just wonderful to see how some of these young people are just stepping up to the plate, creating prayer services online and doing videos of members of their group that might be first responders and kind of highlighting them. So in that respect, it's been a very, very fulfilling time for me to see that. But again, I live with 3 other sisters, okay? Sal, I don't know what your situation is at home. How many people are you with? Are you alone?
No, I'm at home with the family, so I have 2 siblings and my father, and we're fortunate enough to still be able to work during these times. Some of us at home, some of us not too far away.
So let me ask you something. What is it, do you think, that has helped you get through this?
Sure, I would say for me, it's a combination of obviously being with family. That's important. And even if I was, on my own, I would definitely try and reach out to them on a daily basis. But it would be that and staying connected really with communities that we're so accustomed to dealing with on a day-to-day or weekly basis. So for me, that would be family, and most certainly, the communities that we use, such as the Dominican Young Adults Group. We have our weekly prayer and pizzas, or if not every other week, and we certainly have our meditative and prayer services. And that, that not only for us, but for, like you mentioned, all those really on the front lines, there's nurses, doctors, people even work in cleaning all those facilities, everywhere in between. So that's been helping a lot.
I would probably say the same for me. I think this has been a time that I've been able to take some more time in terms of prayer. We're always so rushed or so busy. Not that we don't pray as a community every day, but there's more time during the day to be able to do that on a personal level. So you spoke about your Dominican Young Adult Group. For those who don't know about it, our Dominican Young Adult Groups are based on the 4 pillars of Dominican life. And so each time the groups meet, they are meeting with those 4 pillars in mind. So there's always a study piece. There's certainly a prayer piece. Community is a major piece of that group. And then the other piece is service. So if I were to ask you, has your identification with those pillars been of any help to you? And if so, how?
Absolutely. I mean, and obviously, there's always so much that we can do. And in times like these, it may seem like there's not much we can do in terms of, even thinking, service, working with our hands and helping others. Like we've had that wonderful opportunity to go to Puerto Rico and many other trips that you've done with other DYA members all over the world. But in this case, it's really reaching out to those that are on the front line saying, we are thinking about you. We thank you for everything you're doing. Or even calling our elder relatives that may be alone in this time and just telling them that we love them, or retelling a story from when we were younger, just to raise their spirits. So there's certainly many things that we can do that seem out of the ordinary or may not seem as impactful, but in reality they are. So I would encourage everyone to do that if they're questioning.
I know you spoke a little bit about your particular DYA group. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Tell the people a little bit more about what exactly you do. And you were talking about prayer. And what's unique about your group?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I'd mention two things. One, one is that a lot of the members in the DOA group, in my cohort at least, they're really active, and they certainly tell all of us. They let us know of other prayer services that are going on, such as in Huntington Station, or all these wonderful churches throughout Long Island, and they have young adult masses, and then usually a bite afterwards to catch up on what we liked or disliked about the meditation or prayer services. But aside from that, within our local group, we actually take turns every other week or every week, whenever or once a month. We take turns leading the prayer. So whoever's turn it is to lead, they could bring up a common theme that's close to their heart, whether it be caring for the elderly, or our nature, and our environment, our ecosystem, or what have you. Any topics that come to mind, we'll dedicate a prayer service around that, and really open up our minds to what we're trying to learn more about or teach others.
And I have had the privilege of being at some of those meetings. And one of the things that I found extremely unique and very, very touching to me is your group's whole emphasis on contemplation. The fact that you spend time in your meetings with 15 to 20 minutes of contemplative silence, which is something that we believe as Dominicans is very, very fruitful. But I think you might agree, it might be something that would be very, very useful for our world right now. What do you think?
Absolutely. We know many of the great saints incorporated that, if not once, many times throughout the day. So definitely important.
Well, Sal, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. So now what I would like to do is kind of take everything that we've spoken about and what's dear and near to our hearts. And if you would join me, I would like to spend about 5 minutes in silence, really speaking to our God, and having our hearts speak out loud for the people who are so affected by this particular pandemic. Those who, as you mentioned, are on the front lines, those who are in our grocery stores and our first responders, and those who are being hit so financially by this particular pandemic. Yesterday, for example, I had an opportunity to work with our group here at Huntington Station, and they opened a food bank where there were volunteers and police officers and all sorts of people handing out food to people who drove by in cars. When I tell you there were about 400 cars that went through that area, it was humbling to me, to say the least. So if you'll join me, let's spend the next 5 minutes in just thinking about everything that this pandemic has made us aware of, certainly, and maybe even some things that we might be able to creatively think about doing to help others. So I'd like to end our time together with a prayer that really spoke to me. So the prayer speaks about the other side of the virus. We know about all the terrible things that have happened as a result of this virus. But this prayer speaks of looking at the virus as an opportunity to awaken ourselves to the issues of this world, to the things that we've taken so for granted, and to the opportunities that may lie ahead for us. So the prayer goes like this. Yes, there is panic buying. Yes, there is sickness. Yes, there is even death. But they say that in Wuhan, after so many years of noise, you can hear the birds again. They say that after just a few weeks of quiet, the sky is no longer thick with fumes, but blue and gray and clear. They say that in the streets of Assisi, people are singing to each other across the empty squares, keeping their windows open so that those who are alone may hear the sounds of family around them. They say that a hotel in west of Ireland is offering free meals and delivery to the homebound. Today, a young woman I know is busy spreading flyers with her number throughout her neighborhood so that the elders may have someone to call upon to help them. Today, churches, synagogues, mosques, and temples are preparing to welcome and shelter the homeless, the sick, and the weary. All over the world, people are slowing down and reflecting. All over the world, people are looking at their neighbors in a new way. All over the world, people are waking up to a new reality, to how big we really are, to how little control we really have, to what really matters, to love. So we pray and we remember that yes, there is fear, but there does not have to be hate. Yes, there is isolation, but there does not have to be loneliness. Yes, there is panic buying, but there does not have to be meanness. Yes, there is sickness, but there does not have to be disease of the soul. Yes, there is even death, but there can always be rebirth of love. Wake to the choices you make as to how to live now. Today, breathe. Listen behind the factory noises of your panic. The birds are singing again. The sky is clearing. Spring is coming. And we are always encompassed by love, Christ's love. So open the windows of your soul. And though you may not be able to touch across the empty square or the people that live next door to you or down the block, sing. Sing loud. I hope this prayer touched you as it touched me. And once again, I am so grateful to have had this opportunity to spend this time with you, Sal. It's always a privilege to speak to our young people, in particular when we call our our Dominican family together. We call our congregational members our sisters, our associates, and I am so, so pleased that we add our young adults in that mix. You give us hope. You absolutely give us hope.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
So we end our time together, but we always keep in our hearts those who are affected most by this virus. And we ask our God to continue to be with them and to give them strength and to give them courage and to always allow people to rise up to help those who are most needy amongst us. In gratitude, thank you.